Hello everyone, watch this review here with a look at the Deluxe Thundercracker from the Transformers Dark of the Moon mech tech line. Now, packaging wise, I'm not a huge fan of this bubble here, especially because it has these little indents. If you'll notice, this indent is touching the nose of the plane, so it doesn't really offer a lot of protection to the figure, which kind of strikes me as a design flaw. On the whole, I do like the packaging quite a bit more than the Revenge of the Fallen line with its ugly red card without much detail and stuff. However, you will notice that the general face and then faction symbol is sort of preserved, but they decided to flip the stat card to the side of the figure, leaving the back of the card devoted to larger images of the character, as well as a bio up top. Now, when I saw Thundercracker on the shelf, I was really excited. However, while I was just waiting in the checkout line to actually buy this, I started looking at the back of the package and, was trying to remember why I was really on the lookout for this one and see what the massive appeal was. It wasn't until I actually was driving away that I realized I was actually on the lookout for the Generations Thundercracker, but you know what? I also really like the look of this one, more so than the Starscream, which I was originally planning on picking up from this line. Same mold. I just greatly prefer the color scheme, don't so much like the movie Starscream's colors. Only downside is I don't think I care for the colors they use for the head sculpt here, but plain mode, very cool sculpt. Now, since I didn't pick up any of the jets from the previous movies, I'm not sure if they recycled the jet portion. Supposedly the robot is a new design. Now, one of the things I typically don't like about jets is they have a tendency to not really do the disguise portion all that well for the bottom of the plane. But just looking at this, can't really tell it's so much a robot in disguise. It could kind of mildly pass for a plane just for crazy plane mechanics. Not really, but it is an improvement over some of the planes that I've seen. So, that's really neat. Now, if you're picking this one up, you will notice that there will be kind of design flaws in them. I looked through several of them. They had like some sort of a, I don't know if it was a scrape or what, but the plastic coloring was different. I believe that they tried to fill in these tiny portions here with plastic, but it didn't take for all of them. Also, kind of interesting is the fact that the nose of the plane is actually a soft rubbery plastic. I'm not sure why they did that because, it can't possibly be for safety reasons, as a small child throwing this would still probably cause some serious injury to somebody, given that it's a kind of sharp point regardless, but, whatever. Probably won't be doing the transformation for this on camera, but hold on a second and I'll take a closer look at the robot mode. And here we have Thundercracker in his robot mode. Pretty cool. Right off the bat, though, I'll have to say that in the process of transforming him, I kind of got stuck at like step 2, which I guess is hoisting this one joint back a bit. I guess the joint was really stiff or something, but yeah, it does pop back. So don't just try to force the joint, because then the shoulder pops off. Other than that, not a terribly hard transformation, although something that I figure I'll probably need to get a bit of practice on. Now, I didn't mention this earlier, but he comes with 2 accessories, his little mech tech things, which are different than the ones that came with Starscream. And it's this kind of cool looking sword and this sort of buzzsaw axe attachment. Yeah, although it's nice that you have sort of a flip-out accessory, the fact that you have to hold this in to keep it out is really lame. Plus, it would have been a lot neater if they'd given us an accessory where the blades would, whirl around, but, whatever. These attach either to his forearms or to the portion right here, which I believe is where they attach while he's in plane mode. So we can give somebody a killer bear hug. Kind of cool. Now, one of the reasons I didn't so much care for the Transformers films is just the sort of different designs they gave for the robots, and especially with the jets, where it's such a sort of non-traditional mold in many regards. I mean, it's also doubly annoying, especially in the first film, because you have something like a jet, which is really cool, transforming into a robot that, just doesn't look as cool, but the design, at least in the toy, I'm not sure how different it is could be versus film, has a sort of much thinner mold, and originally I think that was the main reason why I didn't so much like it, because the character was just really wide out to the sides and stuff, and the design looked like a giant moth or something, and I don't like moths that much. They're damn creepy insects, bugs, whatever the heck they are. But I mean, this definitely nicer because it's got a much sleeker profile. A few things I kind of don't like though, right off the bat as well. That's the fact that we have this like product number right here on the top. I don't know what they were thinking with that. I mean, they definitely should have gone for a less high profile area. I mean, I'm okay with things like having the Decepticon logo on it, even if they wouldn't necessarily have it in the film. I don't know if they did or didn't, I can't remember at this point, but product number, just flat out tacky. Other thing I really don't like is the fact that, the side here is just like this flip out thing, as opposed to looking like a more solid construct. I mean, other than that, just a really neat looking figure all around, with a pretty good range of motion on a lot of these joints. I guess the one sort of major downside is you don't have a lot of additional rotation in places like around the wrist. You have to just rotate the whole arm forward at the elbow if you want the, sort of a hand in front of him pose. Not a huge deal though. Detail-wise, I really like Thundercracker's color scheme. It just appeals to me a lot more than, again, the Starscream's was, whereas his was more of a sort of plain, realistic colors. Now they're also going to be doing another version of this. Probably do several more actually, but shoot. You know what? Annotation. Can't forget. I think it was like Thunderwing or something, but it's the one where it's like the black and purple deco. I'm terrible with the names of the Seekers. But detail-wise, it looks like he has light pipe in the eyes, but if you look at the top, it's got this sort of solid piece, and I haven't been able to get any light to really shine through it, so I'm not sure if it was originally designed as light piping, and then when they recycled the mold for Thundercracker, if he got a piece on top that prevents it from light piping. Other than that, no real complaints. Quick run through of articulation. We have a joint here at the wrist. It's actually a double joint with 2 pins, which lets him get some kind of really funky motions. Not a whole lot of forward though, which I suppose is just as well, because I mean that's only for like injury poses. Physical ball here, which gives us a tremendous range of motion. Single joint here at the bicep, or of course, with the way that the ball rotates, it looks like it's a double joint. These arms are kind of fluky. And you've got another physical ball at the shoulder. During my transformation, I ended up popping the ball out, and it does take some effort to get it back in. Then you have a pin here for some up-down, which is linked into the transformation. Head only rotates. By the way, I don't really care for the colors that are used for the head sculpt, which I also mentioned. No waist movement. Down at the hips, we have a forward back here, and then the actual thing does look like it's another physical ball. Underneath here we have a point here, then a point of rotation at this section, and then inside here you have another point, so a lot of versatility here in the legs. Then this side thing will pop in and out. It's part of the transformation. It's originally the landing gear. It helps with the stabilization, and then we have some toe movement. Now, although the figure takes some fiddling with, it does stand fairly well, and you can get the legs into a bunch of poses. Again, it's just sort of balancing the weight and then the spread of the foot. Between the whole mold / sculpt and the paint job here, he's really sort of grown on me. The only sort of downside is you will notice that there are some mild paint defects on mine, which I believe will probably be somewhat endemic of the series, where, just generic fuzziness in places. I don't know, not a huge deal. The other sort of minor gripe I have, I know I keep saying, oh, when I have one more gripe, but this will probably be the last one. It's just the fact that because the thing straps onto the arm, you don't get as much range of motion and stuff on the weapons. It doesn't look as cool. Well, I mean, you can get some sort of cool poses and stuff. So no biggie. And also, I guess you can toss the mech text on the back as well, if you want. So yeah, this has been a look at the Dark of the Moon Deluxe class Thundercracker. I do enjoy this figure. I'm gonna probably try to transform him at least once or twice. I'm just horrendous at that, though. I mean, pretty neat figure all around. Until next time, folks.